Welcome to the Volleyball Mentor, where we are bringing on coaches, players, and leaders in the volleyball space to break down the mindset that they currently have and how they evolved into that space. Today, I am super excited to have Cam Green on. Cam Green is one of the first people to recruit me at USC to go play there. I got very lucky. As a player, he played at CSUN, went to the national championship, coached at USC, coached club volleyball forever, Long Beach State, head coach of Mira, Costa volleyball, and currently with Champions Unlimited, Cam Green. Super excited to have you on today, my man.
Thanks, man. I'm stoked to be here. It's full circle. Pretty cool.
Crazy. Unbelievable. So I want to first go back to young Cam Green and Cam Green that just started playing volleyball. And I really want to dive into where your mental was at that stage of you just coming in and not really knowing what's going on around you.
Yeah. Well, it's a pretty loaded question because I was, sports in general for me were my way of really feeling good about myself.
Yeah.
Because I grew up really having a tough time in school. I didn't learn the same way as everybody else. And so everything was just difficult for me to process. And then no one had any clue on how to teach people differently, right? Yeah. So I just wasn't smart. That's really what I felt like, right? And that's what they just label you as, is like, you're just not that smart. So you feel like really small, at least I did. I felt, it was tough. And then sports was it just came easy. And so it was this place where I could thrive and have confidence and feel like I mattered, really. Because I didn't, there's a lot of other things when I was younger that even shaped that even more. But so then volleyball happened, and it quickly was my love. And I had done everything, all the usual sports, basketball, baseball, football, tennis, whatever, soccer. But and I grew up in Manhattan Beach.
Okay.
So.
Old Manhattan Beach, not new.
Yeah. Different.
Very different.
Bro. Anyway, but it was normal for boys to play volleyball.
Yeah.
I don't know that anywhere else in the country at that point in the 80s, it was normal for boys to play volleyball.
Yeah.
And so you grow up idolizing these guys, going to Costa games and watching, these big time players, and they're like, oh my God, they're celebrities.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do that, right? And to answer your question, I was not very strong mentally because I was all fire and grit.
Yeah.
And I just was 100%. I was like Pete Rose. I couldn't do anything I got made fun of in PE class because I tried so hard in PE.
Yeah.
I wanted to win everything I did because, like I said, it made me feel better about myself. But so then in sports and then volleyball, it was I was pretty good at it right away.
Yeah.
And then I just had ridiculous amounts of fire, but the worst temper.
Yeah.
I was kicking balls and screaming, and I didn't really get it because for me, it was coming from a place of just really wanting to win.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize what it did to everybody else around me.
It's so interesting how you bring up the fire piece, because I'm also someone that played
I remember.
that. Yeah. And maybe to my detriment at times. But for me, when I was coached by you at USA High Performance Camp, and you weren't even my direct coach.
Yeah.
You were there, maybe we were all played in a group for 10 days.
Yeah.
That was something that attracted me to you as a player, is the fire that I saw coming through. So in the same way how you say it was one of your biggest weaknesses, for me, it was wow, that's somebody I want to be around.
Yeah.
How do you connect those two things where it's in one way, that attribute of you kind of are man, that holds me back. But in the same way, does that kind of define you as Cam Green?
100%. And I embrace both sides.
Yeah.
What I didn't know then was how to manage the positive and negative, the good stuff and the bad stuff. And so it came out in really terrible ways.
Yeah.
But the positive stuff, people loved.
Yeah.
It just came out. It still comes out all the time. You know, I'm watching my 14-year-old stepson's club team, and I'm getting fired up when they're doing stuff. And I'm fist pumping, and so it's something that never left me, and I never wanted it to leave me.
Yeah.
You know, I remember having a conversation with John Hawkes in a club tournament, and I was like, because he's always like never shows any emotion, and I'm jumping up and down on the sidelines, fist pumping, and I can't control myself. And I was like, John, like, how do you do that? And he's like, well, you know, he's like, look at all the great coaches. And he brought up like Phil Jackson, and he brought up all these guys, and they're always pretty steady. And I remember thinking like, yeah, he's got a pretty good point. But I still didn't know how to control that.
Yeah.
And so I just decided, I'm like, I'm not going to control it. I'm going to control it the other way.
Yeah.
So like, if something negative happens, I'm going to stay here. But if something positive happens, I'm going to.
When did that click for you? Like, what was like the moment? Was there a thing that happened? Was it an age that you hit? Like, how would you explain that?
To be really honest, I don't think it really truly hit me until I was with my wife, maybe 10 years ago. And I had just started coaching Costa girls, and she really talked to me about what it looks like if you're them when I react in a pissed off manner.
Yeah.
And it got her to make me look at it as like, oh, I actually need to pay attention to how I'm perceived.
Yeah.
And then it really like grew into something like that I could teach, right? Which I thought was so priceless, because understanding how to not like necessarily need the wave of emotion to succeed. And then I got to learn how to manage and teach these kids how to handle the bad stuff. But it was really then, I mean, I think I probably thought about it before, but she was ultimately the catalyst in me looking at myself and going, oh yeah, like that matters. I remember as a player when it changed. So I had a moment as a player.
Okay.
This is a good one, actually. Where I went down to the beach in Manhattan Beach, and I don't remember how old I was. I was probably mid-20s, something like that. And I sat down on the kind of the bike path, and I was just watching whoever was playing. And there was this guy playing, and he was playing like me.
Yeah.
Screaming, yelling, kicking balls, getting pissed off. And I was like, oh, I look like that. and I changed from that moment as a player.
Very interesting. And how old were you at that point?
I had to be 26, 27. I think, and I was just, maybe I was 25, younger, because I was just starting to play AVP full time.
Yeah.
Which was my ultimate dream.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy crap, like I look like that guy, and that guy looks like an asshole right now.
And for reference, like we're talking about a good decade into your career.
Oh yeah.
For you to have the first time that you think about it, and then a few other decades to have a real shift.
As a coach.
I think what you said is something I'm feeling now as I've gotten into the club space and becoming a head coach, is how you're perceived. And I think that's something I agree, or I guess I can relate, that I never thought about it in that way.
Yeah.
It was always like, yeah, but like, I know my intent.
Right.
You know, like I want to win. Like I don't want to like make anyone like feel bad or negative, or I'm just trying to win.
Yeah.
But that's not really the whole picture.
No. No, man. My mentor, Gert Lisha, who runs the HBC club, and he's just a brilliant coach. But he's a tough. He had a lot of stuff going on when we were younger, and he was teaching me how to coach. But he really taught me how to coach. He's the guy that I give all the credit to for me to look at coaching differently. But he used to always say, someone's always watching. That was his voice. Someone's always watching. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, someone that's going to give you a job someday, or someone that's going to like recommend you for something. Someone's always watching. And I was like, sheesh, that's heavy. because they don't know, like you said, your intention, right? And so, man, that hit me pretty hard.
You saying this right now, like, I've never told you this before.
Yeah.
My senior year of nationals,
Yeah.
you're the head coach of SCVC.
Yeah.
18 ones. We get put in like a death group on day 2.
Yeah.
I had a busted up knee.
No, you were barely walking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even, I was like, this guy's dead.
And for reference, I didn't really have that much connection with anyone outside of the USA high performance stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember I'm going and barely walking. We end up actually having a really good day that day.
Yeah.
And we make it through. I think we lost to you guys, beat
But it was
Capono Faye's
close.
team. Super close. The
Yeah.
game was a 3. I even remember the last play that I feel like the refs missed on our refs. It never ends.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
It never ends.
Yeah.
But no, man, like looking back at that, fast forward 2 years later, and I'm in the transfer portal. You're the first person I think to text, and my dad will always say this story, because my dad was always the one that would push me to play injured. Maybe not the smartest move, but he gave me that fire. And fast forward, and when we're having that meeting at USC, my unofficial, that moment gets brought up from you.
Yeah.
And my dad lives by that. He's like, you see, like, it worked out.
Oh, man.
And I think it's so interesting how you say, like, the perception of other people, you never know who's watching.
Yeah.
And like in that moment, I'm just thinking about winning.
Right.
And maybe, I don't know what your perception was in that moment, but maybe you're looking at it and like, this guy can fit into like our culture. When you're thinking about the SC stuff,
Dude,
like how does that?
I love this story so much because I remember that match vividly because I knew you guys were good. I knew you were good, but I also was like, this dude can't even walk. Like I was watching warm-ups and like, you're broken. Like you had more than a knee thing going on.
I broke my wrist that weekend.
And I was like, we're good. And then I'm watching and you're fighting hard, dude. Or I kept saying to my assistant, like, God damn, this guy's a motherfucker. Like I literally was like, so much respect to watch you do that I never forgot. And I was like, and we barely beat you guys. And I thought you kept your team together. And I was like, dude, I was so stoked on that. And I was playing against you and I wanted to beat you bad, but I was like, damn, respect for this kid. And then to have that come around to SC and there was like no question from like, this is the guy, dude. This is the guy you want because of that moment.
It's crazy to think.
I love that.
Like one game.
Yeah.
Like we always talk about everyone's watching, every point matters, every game matters.
Yeah.
And I've said this before, but me going to USC changed my life.
Yeah.
And maybe from that one game.
Yeah.
Like a crazy, crazy connection.
Yeah. I pushed hard for you for that.
I've
Because I just knew, I'm like, no, this is who you want. Like someone that's going to compete like that. I love that. It's such a good story, man. I'm so cool. And that's why I love sitting here right now.
It's a great full circle moment when I think about that. So when you go back to yourself as a player, and we talked about how it developed when you got to around age 26 for the first time, perception of how you were viewed outside, and then as a coach, maybe talk about, were there other areas that you developed, you feel, in terms of the mental side of your game as you went from unaware Cam to aware of, you have a mindset, it's good here, bad here, and then trying to maximize yourself and ended up playing on one of the best teams in the United States at the time, CSUN, where you guys played in the finals in '93, I believe. So how does that connect?
So in my playing career still?
Yes, in your playing career, like how did that develop in different ways, or did it not maybe, and you didn't connect with your mindset in that way?
Yeah, I don't think it did really yet as I was playing indoor, because I just went in with attitude. I thought I was the man, and I just lived in that sort of confidence and air. But again, I really struggled with adversity at that point. Like, to be honest, like when I got to the CSUN, I had never sat on the bench in any sport.
Man.
And I didn't have a clue. And even, to be honest, when I first got to CSUN, I was starting right away. So I was like, yeah, this is normal. You know, like, and I started in the fall, and then I started in the regular season because our opposite was hurt. And so we had 3 outside hitters on the floor, and we were all kind of doing both things.
Yeah.
But we all kind of knew when his name was Kenny Lynch, when he was healthy, like he was a senior opposite, like he was a baller. Yeah. Like he was coming back, right? And it was sort of like, well, who's gonna blow it first? Yeah. Type of deal. Like one of us, one guy, Axel Hagar, big 6'8" German, he was playing outside no matter what, but it was me and this other guy, Pete Picciotto. But so then I remember we were playing IPFW and I made a defensive mistake. Coach calls a timeout, told me, don't do that. I was like, okay. The very next play, the same freaking thing happened. And I got subbed out. This is against Lloyd Ball. Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
And then I was on the bench. I'm like, what do I do here? I didn't know. And like, this is weird.
Surreal.
Yeah. And thankfully, I had Geeter. Do you know Geeter? Chris
Yes.
McGee?
Yeah.
He was on the team.
Okay.
And he was on the bench, backup setter. And he made our bench really special. And so I got to learn quickly the value of being a good teammate. Instead of just being pissed off at my situation. Like we did some really cool stuff on the bench. We were doing different poses and dancing. And we made it fun. And I played quite a bit. Like I went in almost every match after that. I just never started.
Yeah.
But then this is like, the segue into this is interesting because I think this is a pretty poignant story. It involved me understanding the difference in how I chose to think about things mentally.
Yeah.
So, you know, like our team's good freshman year, and we go to the national championship game, and we lose to UCLA, but I mean, we beat USC along the way, who changed their mind on me. That's where I was going, and they bailed out on me last second. And I ended up Northridge and it ended up to be the best. But so me not starting as a freshman the whole season to me was like, okay, like I understood, right? But it was still weird. And then the next year, the coach, I don't know if this is a good thing to say, but he said to me, all right, it's your job to lose. Like in a meeting.
Yeah.
And looking back, I'm like, that's kind of a weird thing to say, you know? So we're playing, and early on in the fall, or early in the season, I lost my job to a freshman, who's still my good friend today. And I was pissed. At this time, I was like, oh no, like this is not happening.
Yeah.
And so I decided I'm going to change it. And I'm going to play as hard as I freaking can on everything I do. So like chasing down balls and picking up balls that you would have never thought you could get because you just don't go. You know, you're like, I can't get that. You don't go. But then I was getting the balls. I was jumping hard, hitting hard. If we had to run sprints, I was beating the team by like a length of the gym to the point where they were like, dude, you got to chill out. And I was like, no, I'm not chilling out. So here's the thing though. This is what's such, looking back, it kills me. It worked. They put me on the other side. But then, what do you think happened when I got there? I didn't look at it the same. Yeah. I didn't choose to play the same way. And I then played in fear of losing my job. The second I got put over there, like I better not screw this up. And I screwed it up.
This is such an interesting point. I think oftentimes we generalize if you're a hard worker or if like you're giving 100%, you're trying hard.
Yeah.
And I think earlier you were talking about how that's one of your biggest like strengths is the competitive fire.
Yeah.
When you just talked about going to another level.
Different level.
Talk about breaking through that wall. I felt that many times in my life so far, not just as a player, as an adult as well. Like you break through these walls. What is that? Because I don't think you can necessarily say you started working hard at that moment.
Right.
But you leveled up in some way.
Yeah.
How would you explain that?
Well, it just became a need. So you're forced with like,
Yep.
what am I going to do with this situation?
100%.
And it's such a good question. Kind of gives me chills to think about, but there was one other option, and that was for me to go to another level and play harder than I've ever played. And it also makes you realize, maybe I'm not actually playing as hard as I think all the time. I'm not going for every ball. And I bring that up a lot with my teams because we don't actually realize. I ask the question, who plays as hard as they can on every point? Not one person raises their hand. And I'm like, what? Why is this?
Yeah.
But we're all guilty of it at some point.
100%.
And so that was the barrier, was understanding, I have more. And I proved it. I'll never forget it.
Even going into talking about work ethic as more of a skill set rather than just an innate thing that somebody has, where when you think of it as a skill set, it's something you can develop.
Yeah.
And it's something you can break through different levels.
Right.
Whereas a lot of times people talk about work ethic as of something you either have it or you don't.
Right.
Which is true on a certain level.
Yep.
In the same way that like naturally I jump really high.
Right.
But if I work out, I
Jump
higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and someone that maybe doesn't naturally jump really high, if they work out, they're gonna jump way higher as well.
Yeah.
And that is, again, common misconception that I think is so unique when I hear you talk about going through and like breaking through to a different level as a player.
Yeah.
When we look at the transition from player to coach, I find very fascinating. And you've experienced coaching at the club level, head coach, high school super successful at Mira, Costa, going USC assistant, Long Beach State assistant, going out of the team sphere, now with Champions Unlimited. You've experienced every level of coaching.
Yeah.
What was the first shift for you when you stepped out of the playing shoes into the coaching shoes, and how you viewed overall the environment?
Well, I started actually coaching when I was 19, so I was still playing.
Okay.
My first coaching job. But it was, at the club I played for, which was Torrance Volleyball Club, only club in the South Bay back then. And so it was like, you get back from freshman year of college and you want to make some extra money.
Yep.
That's all it was. But I was 19 years old coaching 16-year-olds. It was crazy, dude. I was yelling and screaming, jumping up and down. I had no idea what I was doing. So I had kept coaching throughout that time because I started to like enjoy it, But it also was a way for me to keep these like competitive juices flowing.
Yeah.
If I wasn't competing, my knees were really bad, so I stopped playing indoor early, and then I was playing beach, but that also was a problem, my knees. But so coaching was that first. Yeah. It was this like, and still is, by the way.
Yeah.
The competitive side.
100%.
But when I was 27, I'm coaching the boys at Mira Costa as an assistant, and I had been working on this skill. It was some sort of like maybe wrist away line on the right or something. I can't remember, but he couldn't do it. And we were struggling with it, but we were trying. And in the middle of a game, he got it.
Yeah.
It just happened. And he looked at me across the court with a smile on his face like this big. And that second, in my head, I heard, "This is what you're going to do for the rest of your life." And
that's amazing. That
was awesome. And I'll never forget that moment. And I had been working other sales jobs and random stuff, but it was like, yeah, man, this is why you're here. Go do this.
Was that more profound than the feeling you had when you fell in love with volleyball as a player? Or do you like connect those two situations? How do you view that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I never looked at it that way. I would say it was even almost, because falling in love with volleyball was, it was like a real love, right? The game is so fun.
Oh my God.
And then this was, maybe it was validation. Maybe it was recognition of, hey, you didn't get to do really all the things you wanted to do as a player, you'll get them as a coach, which ended up happening, which is really cool to think back, and
Crazy.
yeah, I tell people all the time, like, you may think your path is going to be this to get to here, but always it's here to here to here to here, and it's never what you think it's going to be. And that's kind of how it led me to USC.
Yeah.
Because I started thinking about coaching in college, but I didn't realize how I was doing this. If you want to talk about, like, people talk all the time now about manifestation, but all I was saying was, I want to coach at USC. I never once said I want to coach college. I said I want to coach at USC. And I had no idea how I was going to get there. When Donald was there, I was calling him, "You got to bring me on," when he was coaching. He's like, "Dude, I can't. I'm sorry." I'm like, "You got to hire me." I would call, but yeah, I ended up there through coaching club and Bill Ferguson, and interesting. But yeah, it was funny to look back now and go, "Geez, I was projecting one image and I got it."
It's
a big lesson.
The universe is strong.
Oh man,
for sure.
Yeah.
The energy of the universe is strong. I felt that as a player as well, and starting my own club now has been the manifestation so real.
Yeah.
And if you really go for it 100%, you'll be surprised at how things move in your favor.
It's amazing.
I think a common theme we've been touching on is when you enter a space like playing or coaching, I think everybody has their innate talents that they're really good at. So like maybe someone is inherently very calm and like they have the ability to see the game emotionless.
Yeah.
Maybe we talk about people like us who are super emotional and can inject the competitive fire into a group in a real way. Was there a turning point for you when, as a coach, maybe you were challenged to coach somebody that was very different than how you were as a player? And was that challenging initially? Was it easier for you to connect with players that more resembled you as a player? And how did you kind of maneuver that type of situation?
The answer is yes to all of that. No, there were quite a few moments where I had kids that, and it was only boys in the beginning, that I didn't understand. Like, what? Like, why are you, tough it up, dude. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I didn't know that you're not necessarily going to be wired like me, so I shouldn't expect you to act in a certain way. I was, and the way we were taught in sports growing up was one way, hard, and if you deal with it and you show up or you don't.
No explanation.
That was it.
Go get it.
And you either could do that or you couldn't.
Yeah.
And I was able to do that always, but yeah, there was quite a few times when and then I would get pissed off and I would get upset and I'd yell at them. Yeah. Because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and then the ones that were, like you said, I was like this with the boys, that they loved my fire, it's like you said, it's
100%.
Like, so that was always easy, but there was always a few. And throughout my career, it was really interesting 32 years, right? So like I've seen a real change in how boys and girls respond to me in a certain way. And I started losing kids on the club side. They didn't want to play for me anymore. I was like, what? Because you were like, I'm good, I'm fun. Like this, why would you not want to play for me?
Yeah.
But they're like, you're too much. Jeez. All right. So I had an option, like say screw you, or look in the mirror and go, yeah, maybe I need to change. It's not the same. And so there was probably 3 moments in my career where I had to take another step back. Yeah. Let me rephrase that. I wasn't taking a step back. I was taking a step forward by understanding how I needed to dial things back and respond different and communicate differently. It was not easy because it's ego. You're like, just, like you want to say just deal with it and shut up. But I couldn't do that. And so if I wouldn't be who I am today without being able to like, all right, this is me. I'm responsible for this, and I got to change a little bit.
I think another common talking point that I hear a lot, and I push back a little bit, is when we talk about the new age athlete, and like this new generation is impossible to coach and like is very difficult.
Yeah.
Right? I don't necessarily see it that way, and I want to hear your perspective. For me, I think as we have progressed in the volleyball space, options have opened up for athletes, which then internally forces coaches to be better and forces you to, like we were talking about earlier, where maybe coaches in the 90s would just be like, you're going to do this because I say so.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Yeah, that was me for a long time.
Maybe they have really good reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I feel like, and I felt like this as a player, I didn't connect in the same way with what a coach was saying if I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I think that is the biggest shift I've seen in coaching in this new generation, where we talk about the players getting better, new athletes, all this stuff. But I think the coaching ideology and how coaches have developed has been so fascinating in this new space. How does that connect for you and kind of looking at your 30-year journey in the volleyball space?
You're so right. I think that's probably been the biggest gift that I've received as a coach is really understanding the difference and how you can get through to different kids by learning who they are, what they respond to, really knowing that you just can't treat everyone the same. And when I started to realize that, and this is from my mentors and people teaching me and like helping me like really grow, but man, what a special thing to connect with someone on a different level and get them to be the best version of them or themselves at that time in volleyball or sports or life or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's a gift. And so then once I started to really understand that, my love for coaching grew even more. Because man, like what an impact. I mean, I ran into a former player, honestly from like 15 years previous at the Manhattan Six-Man.
Yeah.
On the corner of Highland and Manhattan Beach Boulevard. I'm walking in my car and like, it's the end of the day, everyone's a freaking mess. And he was able to recite a speech that I gave after a game. And I was like, damn, like they're really listening. And so the coach, sometimes you don't know if like it's sinking in. And so like all these little pieces, like the universe, like nudging me to really like look at all of the things. How do I say things? How do I respond? And never speak without truly thinking through how I'm portraying a message. Like, it's funny now, like I used to just fly off the handle all the time, but now if I fly off the handle, there's a real reason.
Yeah.
It's calculated, it's thought through, like there's a need. Or if I'm really calm and understanding and there's a need for that. And so it was a really cool experience to kind of grow as a coach and feel that experience and know like, oh man, like you have to do all these things. You cannot just be one way, and you have to be able to, I don't know if you ever get everybody, if you ever connect with everybody.
Interesting.
I don't know.
Do you try to?
Yeah.
What do you think the barrier is?
I think a lot of times it comes on their side because they're either A, upset with their playing time, or think you don't like them, or there's this narrative that they get that it's not fair, right? And so you try, like man, my stepdaughter, this is funny, this is how I met her mom.
Yeah.
She was my backup libero and on my club team. And she always talks about the fact that I made her feel needed on the team.
Yeah.
Because I would talk to her and coach her and sit her down. And I had this other libero that went to Texas. Like, she was legit. So like, she knew she was going to be on the bench, but that was always really important to me. And so even with Costa, and I'm sure a lot of them will not agree with me on this, but I did try to touch or like to get to know player number 21, 22 just as much as player number 1.
Yeah.
It just was hard because there is barriers there, and so you can't always get it.
Yeah.
You know, at least that's my experience, man. If there's coaches that can really like reach out and really touch like on a personal level all their players, like, man, you're a better coach than me. But
I think, I mean, when I think about better coach and like being a high level coach, for me, it always comes with, I know we revert back to the first thing we were talking about, is the intent. And like really having a desire to help this human being rather than like, I want to win a volleyball game.
Yeah.
And here's another crazy concept now that I'm out of the playing space, and I'll look at the camera for this, and you could respond to this. For me, if you take out everything else, because we talk about, oh, the players don't think the coach likes me, they're not playing me. A coach will selfishly always do what he thinks or she thinks is best to win a game.
Yeah.
If a coach is operating against that, that is extremely rare. I don't think I've ever seen that. So it is very, very, very rare that a coach dislikes you. They want to negatively impact your career as much as it feels like that. And I felt that way so many times. It is not the reality. The reality, even on a selfish level, they want to win the game.
Yeah.
So they're going to do everything they can to win the game. How do you think about that?
It's literally never a factor that we don't like someone or that there's some sort of animosity, or it's never once factored in to any decision I've ever made. And I don't know one coach. It's just hard, you know. Like, I think I empathize with the other side of it. Of course, I get it. But you're right, man. Like, our job is to still win games. You know, club and high school are different. College is its own thing.
Yeah.
In club, you have all 12 or 13 people paying the same amount of money, and it's a lot. And I'm paying for club now.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it. But so you have to, I think as a coach, you have to appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you have to find the fine line of getting people opportunities to be on the court in tournaments. And it's a difficult task. And I've gone through big tournaments before where kids have really barely ever played. And we're like a championship level team, so it was really difficult.
Yeah.
Like the teams that you played against when I was coaching, you know, like we were a good team. It's like we had a chance to win, like
Every
legitimately. Year. Yeah. But it's a really important thing to do as a coach, is to try to figure out a way to implement the people on the club side, and or have extremely good communication with the players and parents.
Yeah.
And they all deserve it. And I've learned that over the years. Like, you have to put it all out there. Like, this is exactly how I'm thinking and what I'm doing, so they know. Excuse me. On the high school side of things, it's a little different. You're looking at this program. This program is historic. This program is supposed to win. It's expected. It's in our nature. And there's games that we can't lose, and there's big rivalry games. And I got 20-something girls, and there's 8, 9, or 10 that are playing. So high school is different, and I was very upfront about that.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter, because they would still create their narratives. And there was some bad ones, man. Like someone wrote a news article as a reporter from a real newspaper and blasted it out around the community that I was coaching through just nepotism, and the only reason my setter was playing is because her dad was my college roommate, Gert. and then I had all these D1 players on the bench. Anyway, so someone had wrote a news article as a reporter from a real newspaper, the Honolulu Star, after we had played a tournament in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And basically said I was only playing people through basically nepotism, like just my own friends and my own relationships. And and it was pretty damaging. And they brought up a player's name, which that's where it went really wrong. Because like, you want to attack me, fine.
Yeah.
But they spread it all through, like Modern Day High School had it. Redondo had it. Like all the South Bay schools, Marymount, everyone's like, have you seen this article? And then, you know, this past season, when I got let go, someone had written a letter, that said I was a pay-to-play program, and I was accepting money and donations to be in the program. And they even said they had proof. And I was like, cool, let's go through it, because that's impossible. And that was, man, that one. It's just, there's so much like anger I have from that, because when someone's like telling you to your face that you're not within integrity and you're completely within integrity, it was difficult. And so the high school thing is its own animal, man.
And like going back to just, you know, your intent.
Yeah.
Like every coach is walking into the gym and they got their way that they approach it, and like you're very, at least in my experience, have been like super player coach in the sense of wanting to develop those relationships. And when you hear stuff like that, that pisses me off when I saw it.
Yeah.
Right? And like, I'm not the one coaching. Like, I can only imagine how you experienced that. And I'll take a step further where, weirdly enough, it feels like when we're going through your career, you've had like multiple moments where you go and have one of the winningest periods of USC men's volleyball for like a 7-year stretch since they won a championship. You go to Long Beach State, all the success you guys had there. You go to Mira, Costa, all the success you guys have there.
Yeah.
And every exit maybe wasn't how you planned it.
Yeah.
How do you internalize that of someone that's been in volleyball and has reached the pinnacle on every level, and every single one of your exits is not how you would dream about it when you go to sleep at night?
Not one of them.
And it's just very like jarring, because I think a lot of times players will look at really successful people in the field and they'll expect it's all roses and it's all nice and happy, and especially if you perform. No, if I perform, like nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Sports is equal.
Yeah.
But that's not how it goes down.
Right.
How did you handle these situations happening every time?
It's crazy because the USC thing, I didn't get at first, and it was hard because I was a USC guy. Like I grew up a USC guy.
Yeah.
So being there was really cool for me.
Yep.
And so they let Ferguson go as the head coach, and they went on this big search to hire. They ended up hiring Nygaard.
Yep.
And Jeff and I were assistant coaches together at USC. And so the first question they asked him, like who do you want on your staff? And he said, I want Cam. And they're like, you can't have him. It's like, what? And they said, we can't justify re-energizing the program and keep 2 of the 3 coaches on staff. And so I just was a casualty, basically. And I was mortified, man. Like I was like really struggling to fight the tears coming as I'm sitting in the athletic administrator's office as he's telling me like, sorry man, there's nothing I can do. And all the guys wanted me to stay, like all the players were bummed.
When we got into the locker room, when I committed, was under the impression that you were going to stay. That was the conversation we were all having.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you firsthand, in the locker room, the boys were very upset that you were not a part of the program. Not to say that they weren't upset about Fergie. But again, going back to like the player type of coach that you are and like the relationships that you've built, the players felt that in a real way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just on your end, just so you know,
I
like
appreciate
it
that.
was reciprocated on our side.
I appreciate that a lot. And so, I was just, man, it was tough. But literally 2 days later, Alan Knipe called. He was like, let's meet and at Nationals. I'm like, awesome. So we sat down to grab a beer or something, where I don't remember where Nationals was that year, Dallas maybe. And he's like, we want you at Long Beach. I was like, sweet. And he said, but we don't have a job for you. I was like, what? He's
Free
like,
work.
yeah, man. He's like, I get it. He's like, we want you on in this program. We love you. Like, and I had known Alan, but not like really tight.
Yeah.
So for him to come to me and say that was like, whew, that was cool. But I was like, man, I'm a grown man. I got bills to pay. Like, doing another volunteer stint sounded pretty tough.
Yeah.
However, and I was with my wife at the time. We weren't married yet, but we talked a lot about it, and she just kept asking me to sort of tap into how I felt about if I pictured myself being there. And I was like, I feel good about it. No. And she's like, well, if there's a way to make it work, then you got to do it. And so I talked to Alan, and I said, look, if it's volunteer, where I can be here when I can be here, then we're good. Because when I first started coaching college volleyball, volunteer was like a full-time job.
You're in here with us.
You're expected to be here, which is fine. And Alan was awesome. And so I agreed to do it. And it turned out to be the best decision that I had made, because here I took a free job, but I learned more in 2 seasons at Long Beach State than in my entire coaching career. Watching Alan run the gym, how he created the culture, the love the guys had for the program, it was really special. So I got to see, man, this is like a real taste of everything happens the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And the universe puts you exactly where you need to be. So taking that job, accepting that role at Long Beach, turned out to be the best decision that I had ever made in coaching, because I really truly learned more in 2 seasons with Alan and Tyler and Nick than in my entire coaching career. It changed everything on how I looked at the game and how I thought through things, and the stuff that they were doing blocking that no one else was doing, the stuff that the middle blockers were running, the culture in the gym, the effort that I saw from these boys on a daily basis. The effort was insane. So it was just, being in that gym was like, this is what it's all about. Like, I had never seen it on that level. And then listening to Alan teach and coach and mentor and be all of these things for these kids, be the father figure they needed, be an ear, be a counselor, be a coach. I mean, he did all of those things. And so it was really special, right?
Looking at the Long Beach State tenure, I think we were talking a little bit off camera about the unique things that your guys' middles were running now is very commonly talked as pop float routes.
Yeah.
That was happening in 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
And we were in shambles. in terms of how to defend what you guys were doing, we didn't even know what was going on.
Yeah.
So it was very hard to like plan. So in a volleyball specific sense, I thought you guys were very unique.
Yeah.
But in a even more unique sense, I thought the culture that you guys had built was so strong. And you guys had really high level players coming in, even like someone like TJ, who maybe was coming in and was a polarizing figure in youth volleyball going into the college space. And he seemed so bought in to the culture in an extremely deep way.
Yeah.
So when I look from the outside looking in, how do you break down culture in general? How do you think it is manufactured? How do you get players that maybe you wouldn't think would buy in and they're 1,000,000% in, and you see that shift where maybe someone's on the bubble or maybe someone's on the other side and you're able to pull them in to what's happening on a culture level? Like, how do you view that?
It's the most important piece of all of it. And it's, I think, one of the most difficult things to do. I've struggled with it with different teams all the time. But I think the most important thing is talking about culture, saying the word culture, like bringing culture, and the more you can talk about this idea and this word, like the team starts to sort of like feel this love, and you have to be authentic. You can't fake it. Players see right through it. So if you don't have that, it's going to be a tough gym to build. And those guys had it. Like, and this is where I fit right in. Like, Tyler Hildebrand and I became roommates on the road, and we're like, been like best friends almost like ever since. Like, so incredibly tight. But we were cut from the same cloth, and it just was the perfect fit for me. Like all these personalities, and it was like all the things that I love, which was like effort and love and camaraderie and like team bonding, and so this is why I think it works so well for me personally. So these guys already had that. So that's what I witnessed, was this authenticity of who they were. These coaches that had fire and passion, that made this gym fun, but also could talk to you about like what to do with your girlfriend who you might break up with, that when you're really struggling, you know. It was really special. So I think being able to bring that authenticity into your gym as a head coach or whatever is crucial. But it needs to come from a good place, and I think people need to find what that place is for them. I think we probably all have something genuine that we can tap into that will make these kids appreciate and trust us. And yours is going to be different than mine, you know. But I think you got to find that as a coach.
And that is kind of leading to the point where culture is not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
It is so unique, and I love how you talk about the authenticity of the human being. Again, everything like reverts back to who you are as a human being.
Right.
And can I have a conversation with you after we lose a 5-set match or after we win a national championship and I'm struggling with my family life, or I have other things that are affecting my mental that have nothing to do with being in the gym.
Yeah.
And it's like, can you break through that barrier to create your team culture? Not the best team culture or a team culture. Like, it's kind of talked as like it's like a thing where it's very unique to every human being. As we look at your whole coaching career, playing career, everything was team centric. So you go from playing at the youth level, CSUN, super successful, go as a player, AVP, USC, Long Beach State, Mira, Costa. Everything is about the team. Then, most recently, after the Mira Costa situation, and you divert to Champions Unlimited, full circle moment with Alan Knight, the guy that called you in 2018, 2017, whatever it was.
Right after I got let go. That's the crazy part. It was 10 years. I get let go from USC. Alan Knight is there. Costa randomly decides to move on from me and not renew my contract. And then Alan calls. And I was like, there's no way this is, but yet of course this is happening at the same time. You go, this is how the universe works.
Exactly.
And so saying yes to this was like, I didn't like, he didn't even barely get the words out. I'm like, Alan, I'm in. Like, what are we talking about? This is a no-brainer. And that's like the best part about all of it is you have to, there's this really cool book called The Surrender Experiment, where this guy literally surrenders to every situation that happens and just follows that path. Yes, I'm gonna do this. Yes, I'm gonna go learn how to build houses. Yes, I'm gonna learn how to build the first computer. Yeah, like this is this guy's path. And I think that's such a good lesson because it just proves that things are happening for a reason. And now I'm working with the guy who's been has impressed me as a coach more than like any human being I've ever been around. I get to work with him again on a regular basis, and now we get to teach the game the way we teach it, the way he teaches it, the way he taught it on the national team, the way the best players in the world are playing it today, which a lot of us coaches here in the United States don't know all of it yet, right? And I think that's it's so good for the game for everyone else to open up to, there's other ways to do things.
Yeah.
There's better ways. And so to be a part of that is incredible, and especially because it's with Alan. So,
I mean, I'll say from my vantage point, I've had this conversation a lot recently as I've stepped into youth volleyball, specifically outside of like college or professional. I think it's so hard to get talented people in the coaching space to stay at the youth level. So when I see these types of situations opening up, and where Alan and yourself are going in and giving all that information back to the grassroots, that's what makes every other country so unique at volleyball. When you see these like really strong brands of like Brazilian volleyball, Japanese volleyball, you go Italian, like these really like staples in the volleyball space in the world, they all pour directly in to the bottom level, which is the young kids. Right?
It's so different from here.
It's that transfer of information that is almost cultural for other countries where maybe the negative in the United States is less cultural, more business for us, which has its pros and its cons.
Sure.
But when I think about it, first off, I want you to break down what is it exactly that you guys are doing at Champions Unlimited, and how is that a new experience for you? How are you taking that in? Break it down.
It's cool. It's cool. And then what you just brought up is a piece of it in terms of in Europe what's happening, and I'll get to that. So really we're traveling around to the people that either reach out to us, which is a lot so far, to different clubs and areas where we'll do a 2 or 3 day clinic. We'll have coaches clinics involved. We just recently we did a couple events in Atlantic City, and we had recruiting meetings with parents and kind of give them the breakdown on how that works. And we had a couple coaches sessions where we're teaching systems, and so it's just that part alone is awesome. To get to be able to show kids a new way to do things and show coaches. More importantly, I think meeting new coaches and having them excited about there's a different way is really cool. And the more we can talk about this and the more coaches can start spreading the word, I think the game's going to get better here. And we're pretty good here, right?
Not bad.
And then you brought up the Europe side. And so this year, this is a big thing we're working on right now, which I'm super fired up about, is we have this huge camp in Ohio. And there's a facility called Spooky Nook. It's got like 42 courts.
42?
No, it's insane. And so we're holding a huge 3-day camp, and for boys.
Okay.
And our other piece of the puzzle is that we're putting together kids from around the country to build about 5 or 6 teams to take to right after that camp from Spooky Nook straight to Slovenia to play in the Global Challenge. And so really we're getting the kids, because we have the national team training or development program. But there's a whole tier of kids that are real good that don't get a chance to do that want to figure out how to play in an international tournament, that want this experience of being coached by international coaches. Alan Knipe, like the former national team coach. So you're going to get to train for 3 days and then get on a flight and travel to Europe, and there'll be about 5 of us. I'll be coaching a team, which is awesome because I get that team thing, right? And then we'll tour a couple cities, but now it's they're going to get an evaluation, they're going to get stats, they're going to have stuff to give to colleges, but it's really this opportunity for the rest of them that get left out or don't get seen, because the I can never say it, NTDP is tough to get onto, right? And especially now because it's an evaluation system and it's scouts, right? So we want to help these kids that we don't want to compete with USA. It's not the point, but they'll feel this international experience. Our colors are red, white, and blue. So it'll kind of feel like they're still playing for the United States. But we're super excited about that piece of it, just to bring that environment and get these kids a chance to be trained by Alan and our staff.
It is really cool how you still have the ability to tap in to the team space. But another area that gets me excited, again, from the outside looking in, is I feel like when you and Alan, for instance, go in this new space, your guys' bandwidth to how many kids you can affect just explodes.
Oh, it's huge.
And that's so exciting for a young person like myself that's coming in and wanting to affect the game in a positive way. And when you see that upper echelon talent, when you come to the coach's side and pouring in to a situation that's maybe not just 12 kids, but we're talking you guys could affect hundreds, thousands of kids, right?
Amazing. Yeah.
A year. It's like unbelievable.
It's the best.
Have you thought about that and like how do you connect with that? Maybe the connections aren't as deep with each kid, but the vast majority, like you can hit so many people.
No, I've definitely thought about it. That's one of the best parts.
Yeah.
Because you really do, like, at the end of the camp, they're taking pictures with us and they're asking questions and their parents are involved. And so you realize, like, yeah, we're actually like spreading the word about this game. Especially it's cool to be back in the boys' side a little bit because I was out of it for a while. But the men's game is so good. And these guys are freak athletes. Man. And they're playing the game. It's so fast. And if you watch pros in college, like the people are go to a game for like people are like, holy crap, this is so impressive to watch.
I just went to USC, UCLA.
Yeah, it's insane.
That level.
So building excitement and growing this game is cool for the boys' side. The girls is massive, right? Yeah. And I love the girls' side, and I want to stay in the girls' side still. Yeah. But it's cool, and you get these kids so stoked. So you reach them quickly because they're excited about this thing they never learned, and you're teaching them how to pass in a different way, or how to like get a real arm swing, or situational stuff, and their eyes light up, and they're like, "This is awesome." So you'd be surprised, man. You get pretty connected, and then I got people reaching back out to me on Instagram, and thanks, man. It was so cool to work with you, and it's cool.
That is incredible to hear on a selfish level of how I feel like this is going to impact volleyball really well, but also just on a personal level of looking from the outside and being like, man, that looks like a really good situation for Cam, and it feels like you're connecting with it in a real way, like you have at every single other situation. But again, it's amazing to see situations that are positive come to positive people. Right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's different. I don't have a team.
Yeah.
It's first time.
What do you see as your next step of evolution when you think of yourself as a coach, as a mentor to these young kids, and how your career has shifted in a lot of different ways? What is the next evolution for Cam, and what are steps that you foresee yourselves taking in the next 10 years, right? Like, what does it look like?
Well, I think you said the word mentor in there. That's kind of how I look at it. It's not, I have the ability to sort of, because I'm not Coach Cam. I mean, I'll always be Coach Cam. I love that, but that is me. But I'm not wearing that hat. And so I'm able to connect with them differently. There's real trust there, especially the ones that are, that I still work with and talk to and whatever. But having the knowledge of gone through this club scene, gone through the high school scene, gone through the college scene, was a recruitable athlete, this is where I'm stepping into now, is like helping kids on the recruiting side, but in a mentorship way. In an idea that I need to know you, and I know these coaches, they're my friends and these people that I've grown up with coaching. And so I think my goal is to, and I said this the other day, was to like be able to find, like really help kids find the best spot for them, and not just a spot where they can put a sweatshirt on and take a picture for Instagram so they feel like they did it. And so that's what I hope to do. Like I want to help them and do something that they're like reach their ultimate goal, which is like that recruiting side. So that's an interesting thing that I never thought I would be into, but I want to do it on a level that's personal.
I think that is such a big hole in the market. I look back at myself, and growing up, obviously we had a really good generation coming out of Chicago during that 2013, 2012, 2015 range. But we didn't have access to high-level athletes at the moment, coaches that were in the space. So for me, I'm a first generation immigrant, my parents coming from Albania. We had no context of what college athletics was.
Yeah.
So our formula was just like, you work harder than everyone else, good things will happen.
Right.
And like,
Right.
it's a good formula.
Yeah, it works.
I don't think it's a bad formula,
Yeah.
but having someone that's in the room and that's been in the room and that's been in every room, right? To be able to help guide these young athletes is something maybe they don't even know is as valuable as it could be.
Yeah.
And as you guys expand, I think you guys are gonna kill it when you're talking about going into the mentorship space. It's a huge need that people don't even know.
Yeah.
And you guys are gonna give a lot of value, in my opinion.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's cool. Because I find myself having conversations now about how to speak to your coach, how to ask questions, how to deal with being on the bench, and like even how to find the right club team.
Yeah.
Because there's so much drama and fighting and lying and people backstabbing each other and promising one thing, and so because I've sat in all that I get to have these real honest conversations because I'm not affiliated, you know, in a way that's gonna hurt somebody. So it's that part's cool. It's a tough thing to navigate for these kids, and it's tough to navigate for the parents, both the club side, the high school side, the recruiting side. There's so much going on, and so I'm just trying to be as real as I can.
Yeah.
Like this is really how it goes. Like I love having the conversations with the kids when they tell me, oh, their coach said this or their coach isn't doing this and this isn't fair. Or I get to tell them as a coach, no, this is actually how we're thinking.
Yeah.
This is how we're looking at it. So you need to know, like, it's not what your perception is. Here's this helps, I think, so much, you know?
The reality.
So it's, and getting them to look, and they're like, oh, okay. And then let's talk about how to handle it that way. That part's been really fun. I do private lessons in here all the time, and a lot of times I'll spend 20 minutes talking to a kid before we even start playing volleyball, and then we have 30 minutes left of a lesson, you know? But I love that part the best. Like,
I mean, that piece is the most under talked about piece. And we talked earlier about how work ethic is a skill set that is built. These relationships are also something that are built. And you have to put energy into them the same way that you put energy into your serve receive, your setting, serve hit, right? Like it's all the same. So a few more questions.
Sure.
I reached out to my mentor athletes at Mentor Volleyball Academy to ask what questions that they may have for people like yourself that have been in every single room.
Cool.
And I would love to hear your perspective on these. One common talking point is when you're an undersized player, how do you stand out to a college program? Is it realistic for you to be a 6 foot outside in D1?
Yeah.
Taylor Craft. But there's a lot of situations.
There's some outliers out there.
Like player of the year, Taylor Craft, right?
Yeah.
But how do you internalize that, and what would your advice be to a young athlete having that question?
Cool. First off, it depends on what you're playing, what position. If we're talking about an outside or a hitter, you jump well, you have to do those things, right? Like that's the reality of the game. If you're an undersized and you can't get off the ground, it's going to be tough for you. But there's things that you can do about it. So let's say all those pieces are there, right? Let's say they have the thing. So then it's like, do you have an arm? Okay. If you don't have an arm, let's master the mechanics.
Number one.
And I mean like master the mechanics. Because if you have an arm, you can play. Like so in the physical side of things, if you have an arm, you can play. Whether it's a serving sub, whether you get to play outside, but someone wants someone that can terminate the ball. I think a big problem in the game is poor mechanics, swinging. And so I spend a lot of time on that itself. Now, the rest of it is the stuff that you're in control of. You have to master those things. Your effort, your communication, your response to adversity, your willingness to play, to go for it versus playing in fear. you need all of these pieces of the puzzle, but those things are within your control, right? Even like you can't control how well you play in the game, but you can control like how hard you work to prepare. Like,
Absolutely.
am I getting my mechanics right? So you kind of just have to do all the things, but I think the real focus always comes down to like, if I master what I'm in control of, the rest of it will take care of itself. And there's a need for those players. And if it doesn't happen for you, it's because it wasn't supposed to, which is tough for them to figure out. That's a hard one.
What I tell my players when we talk about this stuff is you can break off athletes into two categories, I think. One, let's say, are the blue chip guys, right? Like the guys that you go to a convention center, any college coach just goes, that guy's like, I want that guy, right? So those are really easy to identify. Those guys know that they're the guy since they're like 14. So if you are like, am I the guy? Probably not, which is okay.
Right.
College coaches, I feel like, are not looking to get 15 blue chip guys.
Right, you can't. Be cool.
Be awesome, right? If you had Micah Christensen just all over. But the reality is that you have to separate yourself in a unique way, which is things that you can control, which maybe don't seem unique to some people. Some people think like, oh, he jumps really high, that's unique. But the guy that gives consistent effort and is an incredible teammate all the time, when any coach sees, that's the uniqueness.
The guy that gets taken out of the game because he's having a bad game and he's the first guy cheering, jumping up and down, high-fiving his teammates, that's the kid.
And I'll have another question that connects to this. And I have a pretty strong opinion on this, but as a college coach or as someone that is recruiting, there's always this like fear when a college coach comes to your court. Everyone freaks out. It's like, I have to play the best volleyball I've ever played in my life, and like these like next 3 points for them to realize like how good I am. How long does it take you when you are evaluating an athlete, when you come onto the court, you're with Long Beach State, USC, you just come on and you're watching young Gert Lisha. How long does it take you to be like, I want that guy, I don't want that guy?
Oh man. Athletically, it takes about 30 seconds. And I'm not even kidding. Take one swing, and I'm like, okay, cool, I can see it. How I move to pass the ball, or like, that's the easiest part. Now, there's a kid, I'm not going to say his name, but it was around the USA time when I worked at High Performance, whatever, that I was like really high on. And so going into the USA camp, I wanted to make sure he was on my team. And I was telling Fergie, like, we got to bring this kid to SC. Because I saw him do some things. I'm like, damn, this kid's. And, but I coached him, and he was different. His mindset, I saw, there was a doubt. And he was a good kid. It wasn't that, right? It was just, I could see a little, it was doubt, it was fear. And fear doesn't work, man. And so I pulled the plug. And it was a good choice, you know, I think long term, but that stuff takes time. And I was fortunate because I actually coached him. But what we do see on the other side is, what's your interaction like with your mom and dad? Are your mom and dad on the bench just pissed off when you're not playing, or are they cheering? Like, this is stuff we look at. How when your teammate's having a bad time out there, like, are you supporting them, you know? Those interactions matter. And people talk about this all the time, but it's really true, man. Like, it is really a thing. You need the right type of people on your team to be successful. So,
volleyball players, this has always been my thought. A volleyball player is so easy to identify skill-wise. Like, however good an athlete thinks they are on their best day versus their worst day, a coach looks at them and they see the same person.
Same thing.
Right? It doesn't affect anything.
No.
Now, the human piece is what coaches are trying to figure out. And that takes more time. So when a coach is evaluating a player for longer periods of time, they are not looking for the skill piece of it, right?
Yeah.
They're looking at everything else.
Yeah.
And even I like how you said the parents. Everyone that is connected to you
Yeah.
is an extension of you.
100%.
And will pull you in different directions, whether they be your friends, family, right? Everything. Girlfriend, like everything matters.
Yeah.
You know? Another question from my players.
I love these questions.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had a lot of them, so I was trying to filter through the ones that make the most sense. What do you think separates good players from great players mentally?
Easy. The ones that choose to go for it, that aren't afraid of failure. And I can see it in 3 seconds. Man, I talk about this all the time because you can have a kid that is just as athletic or more athletic, but is so worried about screwing up, a college coach watching, that they're not willing to go for it.
Yeah.
I tell this story a lot, and God bless this guy. I'm in the 16 Open Nationals championship match, finals, Open Division, against Torimar, Puerto Rico.
Yep.
And I had the same starting lineup the entire season. And about 3 points into the match, my opposite had sailed the ball out of bounds. He was a lefty. He turned around and his eyes, he looked at me and his eyes were like this big. It was the finals, national championship game. He was scared. And without a second thought, I took him out as soon as he looked at me. And I put in our backup. And the backup went off. And we beat Torimar in 45 minutes for the gold medal. And to be honest, I think he probably understood it. I don't think his mom and dad, they're the best people. I felt really bad about it. But it goes back to that thing you said about we're trying to win. And at that moment, I knew he was scared. And I get it, but I can't have you on the floor playing scared. So without question, to me, the separation is are you taking a real swing when it matters the most?
Yep.
And I can tell the difference immediately. And I think most coaches can. And I stress this all the time. I would rather have you rip it, go for it, and get stuffed or hit it out.
Yep.
And then we go home as losers, but you win for it.
Your intent.
That's who I want.
Was to
if
win.
you keep it in and they gobble it up and bounce one on us, I don't want that, you know? So that's to me is the difference. And it's a hard thing for them to learn. Right?
Do you think, because I think I was very lucky and blessed to have just naturally had that confidence in me when I shouldn't have had it logically in a lot of moments,
me too.
right? It's
me too, yeah.
I think I was the best setter in the gym a lot of times where I was definitely not the best setter.
Yeah.
But that was just something that naturally came to me.
Yeah.
So I feel very lucky about it. For people that it doesn't come naturally to, which I think is more, is there a way to break out of it, get better? How do you see how do you push? Or is it something that is what it is and you just kind of have to live with it?
No, I think there's both.
Yeah.
I think there's people like you or whatever. I was that way that just are naturally just I'm going to go for it. That's it. But I think you can teach it. But you have to talk about it. And you have to openly say, look, look me in the eye right now and tell me you were not hesitant on that swing. Let's talk about that. And then let's beat it. This is how I choose to go through it.
Yeah.
You know, I've had teams that we had this thing where when it got to 18, 19, or 20, we would start to freeze up.
Yeah.
And we would be right there with these best teams and then we'd lose. And so I decided to talk about it. And just let's own it. This is who we are right now. But let's just jump over the hurdle, man, or knock the freaking wall down. And then I do that with players, the same thing individually. Let's attack this, and you take a chance and see what happens. And eventually it can change, I hope.
That happens, correct me if I'm wrong, when you have the connection with the player.
Trust.
Right?
It's trust.
Because if I'm scared, I just look back at the most like primal view of it. It's like, I'm scared, I'm gonna call my mom. Right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to my dad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to my family.
Yep.
That's the most like normal thing. Why? Sure. Because I trust them the most out of anybody.
Safe, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So as a coach, as much as it's on the players to be vulnerable, it's almost more on us to be vulnerable as well and like open that door.
Bro, you said it.
Allow the conversation to even happen. Because if that conversation doesn't happen, we can't do anything.
You said it.
Right?
We have to be that. They have to feel that. The vulnerability. The understanding that we are also them. That we were them. We get it. It's so, man, that's it. That idea, that's the trust. By the way, especially in the girls' game.
Yeah.
That is way more prominent.
Explain that a little bit.
I think that was the hardest part about coaching, learning how to coach girls.
Okay.
Was I could teach them the same stuff.
Yeah.
Which I really took pride in doing. Like, I'm bringing the men's game.
Yes.
And nothing against the women's game, but I'm just going to bring it all in, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And to say what you're not saying is like the men's game is more complex right now.
Yeah.
Just because the athleticism allows us to
just
play a little bit different.
So I just wanted to teach all the same, right? You know, and I love the women's game. And so I would try everything, but originally I tried and I was talking to them the same way.
Yeah.
That did not go well. That did not go well. But I learned that they can do it like that.
Yeah.
But they need to feel and know that you like them as a human being. Where boys are like, screw you, let's go. Let's go fight. You know what I mean? There's a difference. And some boys are the same. But that was a real, and my wife, again, I always give her credit for this stuff because she's the one that like walked me through these things. Yeah. But that was that part's real. Like they have to feel that like you care. And so being able to be vulnerable and be open and like building that trust is everything.
Going back to day one, Cam is starting his volleyball journey. What is something that you would tell him to help him along his journey that you know that he's about to go through?
To understand how he reacted affected more than just him and was a big piece of like the what was happening on the court in terms of your teammates trusting you and wanting to play with you. And I think that was something that I never understood for the longest time. So to be able to not react in situations, but to be able to just think through what's happening and understand what do I need to do next. Yeah. This is a tough one. I think that would have changed a lot for me. And maybe I would have handled situations differently moving forward throughout that. But absolutely. But yeah, that would have been a big one. Is not to lose who you are, right? But to understand how we choose to react to situations is a big part of how our future, our game is going to be played.
Last question. What does being a mentor mean to you? And like really embodying past just a simple volleyball coach and you're stepping into a mentor space and you have your own mentor. Like, how do you connect with that?
Well, it goes back to that feeling I had when I was working on that thing with that kid and he figured it out. And that, I remember that emotion deeply. I helping someone understand things on a different level mentally or emotionally and guiding them through that and having them step onto the other side and recognize that you helped them do that. It's heavy, man. It's it in a good way, you know? My God. So that's what lights me up about it. It's everything. That's the whole point, right? It's winning and like trophies and all that stuff along the way is, I want to win bad, but I love that it's been a byproduct of learning had to be the right type of person and coach and mentor along the way. Like, I had to grow for all those things to happen, you know?
The simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Like, always boils down to simplicity of it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, that is it. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Moving forward, I'm going to try my best to connect the best minds in volleyball, like Cam, and try to give you guys insight on how their mindset started and how it has evolved as player, coach, or wherever their career is taken. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys very soon. The Volleyball Mentor Podcast, let's get it.
Go.
Awesome.